teasing, I'm teasing.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Committee on Taxation. We'll have brief introductions and then get into our amendment review. We'll start with Representative Matlack and work our way around.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. My name is Ann Matlack. I represent House District 92, which includes the communities of Cushing, Thomaston, South Thomaston, St. George, Matinicus, Creehaven, and the Muscle Ridge Islands.
Hi, Senator Matt Pouliot, District 15.
Good afternoon. I'm Representative Collings, District 42 in Portland.
Mo Terry, I represent District 26, the west side of Gorham.
I'm Senator Ben Chipman, Senate Chair of the committee, represent Senate District 27, part of the city of Portland. We also have Julie Jones with us, our analyst, and Lena Braun, our committee clerk. So we're here to do amendment review on, I think, 3 bills. We'll start with LD 484. And we'll, I don't know if you want to walk us through this, Julie, or what the formality is for amendment review, but.
Yes, LD 484 is an act relating to the distribution of state revenue from, well, it started out as an act to change Maine's tax laws, a concept draft submitted by Senator Chipman. But the concept became an act relating to the distribution of state revenue from the real estate transfer tax. And what this provides is that it changes the distribution of revenue from the real estate transfer tax on property transfers by deeds to provide that beginning in FY23, revenue received by the state would be deposited entirely in the Maine State Housing Authority for deposit in the Housing Opportunity for Maine Fund, whereas currently, aside from a few other side purposes for spending, it's split essentially 50-50 between the general fund and the home fund. So this amendment would provide that after providing for those separate funds or the one fund that relates to the State Housing Authority paying off authorized bonds, and which is a purpose that the money has been used for quite a few years now, the amount that goes to the general fund. So this would maintain that money would still go from the general fund to pay for those bonds, and the remainder would be going to the Housing Authority for the home funds. You had been emailed this for review last week, and some concerns were raised, I believe, by Senator Pouliot. That's why it's here for you to discuss today, whether the amendment looks okay to you or whether you want to make changes as a result of Senator Pouliot's concerns.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to make sure that everybody's in agreement with it. It was a unanimous committee vote, and if there's any changes we need to make to clarify some things, we could do that. But,
Yeah, I just have a thing to say. I have a thing to say.
yeah, go for it. Yep.
So my only concern with this, which has been clarified by Maine Housing, is that in the part 2 of the section 2, whatever subsection here, about the monthly transfer of funds, it says that the transfer of revenues under this paragraph shall first deposit into the Maine Energy, Housing, and Economic Recovery Fund under Title 30A, Section 4863. And so it's my understanding, in speaking with Mr. Jorgensen, that that is just the language that we need only to pay for a bond that has already been authorized, or bonds that are authorized. But if you read 4863 in there, it says like the money can be used to make loans and other types of things. And my only concern was like this cascade, if you will, of funds would get all eaten up by the Title 30A, Section 4863, Maine Energy, Housing, and Economic Recovery Fund, and it would just all sit there and never cascade out into home fund, the Section 4853, and then furthermore the new housing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been shared with me, and we're memorializing here on record that will not happen, that the lion's share of the funds will go to the home fund, and then 25% of the remaining would go toward the creation of new housing, as we've articulated here. I mean, assuming this thing makes it out of the pros. So, and I hope it does, I really, really do hope it does, because, we need additional avenues to help, especially with adaptive reuse. There's a lot of money on the table for these LIHTC projects, but those are very cumbersome and difficult for the average Joe developer to avail themselves of. The legal costs don't make any sense if you have like less than 25 units. So if we can get a program going that's going to help the guy or gal that's trying to do like 6 units, that's super helpful.
So your concerns alleviated?
Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to say all that on record.
And Julie, is that your understanding of how it would work, that it would cascade out and it wouldn't sit there? from your
That's
reading of it?
correct. That's the way I understand it as well, yes.
Okay. So everything's okay with the amendment then as it is?
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right. So did we want to hear from main revenue on this or a different bill?
On 1986.
All right, so we'll
It was a good year.
so we'll now do amendment review on LD 1986. Everybody has that bill.
Now I know how old you are, right?
December, almost.
This again is one that has been sent to you for review. But when you vote to pass as amended on a bill, I draft the amendment. It goes to the fiscal note people for a fiscal note. They send it to Maine Revenue Services to say, what do you think the fiscal impacts of this is going to be? On this particular bill, 1986, they do this occasionally. Maine Revenue Services responded back requesting a change in some of the language, which they described as a technical change. I believe it is to the extent that I understood it, but I didn't feel like I should make that change just on my own without it coming to you first. So you should have an amendment in that file that looks like this. It has yellow highlighted language. The black language is what I drafted and is what you have seen for review. The yellow language are the changes that Maine Revenue Services has proposed to make. I believe that Mr. Allen or someone else from Maine Revenue Services is here to be able to come on remotely to address questions if you have them, or to explain what it is that why they are proposing those changes. What the language does is it essentially provides a credit for permanently and totally disabled vets under the property tax fairness credit. So they get an additional credit, which is essentially the same as what they receive under a normal property tax fairness credit. So it would go to disabled veterans who are already eligible for the property tax fairness credit. So there would be that needs-based requirement added into it that you were looking for when you first talked about this bill. So it's calculated that the credit for the add-on, the additional credit for the disabled veterans is calculated in the same way. So it's a duplicate of what the ordinary credit is. Then the two are added together to calculate the total credit that they get. But you may recall that the credit has language which establishes a maximum amount that recipients can receive, which is currently $750 for persons under 65 years of age and $1,200 for persons age 65 years and older. I had sensed a need to duplicate this in this credit, and I think Maine Revenue Services sees that as not being necessary, but they should explain that to you. I think that's what's going on with this language that they're proposing in the yellow.
Yeah, maybe we could have them come on, and while we're waiting for them to come on, just so that folks know, my recollection of this is that we wanted to provide up to twice the amount that non-disabled residents can get under the property tax fairness credit to permanently disabled veterans. So there's the means test, and renters can get it as well. And I think that's what we're trying to do, but we can have Maine Revenue come on and explain why they want this change.
Do you like Dr. Allen and Lena?
Dr. Allen, can you hear us? There he is. Hey, Dr. Allen, how are you?
Good. How's everybody doing today?
Good. We're just doing the amendment review on LD 1986, and we understand this, a change that the department wants to see made to the amendment as it's drafted.
Yes. Let me just get the memo up. So there were, I think there were two issues that we just wanted to address. One is, as you know, in the governor's supplemental budget submission, she's proposing to increase the maximum benefit under the property tax fairness credit and making that a permanent change. So I think we just wanted to adjust the language so that it's flexible, that if the legislature were to enact that proposal by the governor, there wouldn't have to be a change to this bill if it also passed at the same time. And in the future, if the legislature were to increase the maximum benefit under the property tax fairness credit, it would the language is set up that it would automatically apply to this particular provision. So that was the first issue. The second one was we just wanted to make sure that the taxpayer couldn't receive a benefit higher than their property tax or rent constituting property tax. And I think we also wanted that to dovetail with the part of the property tax fairness credit that limits the amount of property tax that a taxpayer can use in determining their qualifications for the property tax fairness credit. So for example, if somebody has a $5,000 property tax bill, for purposes of determining eligibility for the property tax fairness credit, depending upon your household size, you may only be able to consider $3,000 of your property tax. That's all laid out in the law, exactly what the maximum amount of property tax you can use for determining your eligibility. So it was just to make sure everything was consistent with all of that. And to make sure the amount of the benefit to these particular veterans stayed within those confines.
So Dr. Allen, so the amendment, the proposed changes that you have here that you've suggested would still allow permanently disabled veterans to get twice the amount of benefit that non-disabled residents can get under their PTFC?
I think for most, it would be the case. There could be situations where doubling the amount would exceed what their property tax is. And so,
Well, but one if non-disabled residents that currently get PTFC, can they get more than what their property taxes are now?
no,
No. So this would be the same standard used for the program as it is currently. It would just be twice the amount, up to twice the amount, depending on the
Correct.
circumstances.
correct.
Any other questions from anybody, concerns? Yeah, okay. I mean, I think that's fine because I think we want to tie it to this. So the way that the program works is if we adjust levels of refund amounts under PTFC, that would transpire over to the amount veterans can get using the same criteria, just making sure they get twice as much. So as long as we're achieving that, I think it's probably fine. Okay. Does everything seem okay, Julie, to you in terms of what they provided? There's no issues or anything?
No, I just wanted to make sure that it was brought to your attention because it was not something that had been discussed when you were originally voted.
Okay. Seeing no other concerns, I guess we're probably all set with that bill. So we just have one other bill left to do the language review on. That's LD 1919. That's Dr. Evans' bill.
I think really the only reason that 1919 is in front of you is because it was emailed out to you for amendment review yesterday.
Oh,
And I suggested to you whether you wanted to review it in person like we did in the old days, since you were going to be meeting this afternoon anyway. So everyone was given in the email until the end of the day today to express any concerns. I have not heard any concerns at this point, so I don't know if there's anything to discuss, but you have a paper copy of it in front of you, I think, or Lena may not have handed it out yet, but she has paper copies if you want a paper copy of it instead of having to rely on the email that came to you yesterday. So it's up to you what you want to do with regard to it, but
Well, we can look at it. I mean, if anybody has any concerns, what's the deadline to get those concerns back to you to the end of the day today, or?
that is the
3 more hours.
deadline, yes.
Okay.
There's always some additional time that's available. I mean, that's the time at which we let it go
Yep.
in terms of processing. It still at that point needs some processing by the revisor's office before it actually shows up on a calendar. So it's usually a couple of days at least before it shows up on a calendar. So if somebody were to come in tomorrow or Monday with a concern, it's probably still, the chairs can always hold things from being reported out of committee. So as long as it hasn't left committee yet, the chairs always have the ability to hold something up and say, don't report that out yet. And
Okay. So there's no
do
drafting.
whatever you need to do at that point.
I mean, there's no drafting concerns or any questions you have for us at this point. I mean, the amendment's fine as far as you're concerned, right?
I have heard no concerns from anyone.
Okay, so if anybody has any concerns, then I guess we'll let Julie know by the end of the day today. But otherwise, we'll assume it's okay. All right, great. Excellent. I guess that's all we need to do for now. Guess we're all set. So we'll go ahead and adjourn the committee meeting for today.